Alright, meant to make a video like this last year at Orleans, never did. The importance of tracking your pay, especially as an hourly employee, as a salaried, especially if you're like salaried and get paid once a month, you divide your salary by 12. That's the amount you're supposed to get every month. There's not much to it. As an hourly employee, especially with regular pay, overtime pay, cash game downs, tournament downs, there's a lot going on, and I like to know what's supposed to be in my check to the penny before I get it. So first thing, I took a snapshot of my spreadsheet tracking all my pay at Planet Hollywood. There's a few things going on, so let's go to the graphics. Okay, took this picture from my spreadsheet, and there's a few things going on here. Of course, going to put in the date, and that's especially important when one shift is on 2 calendar days. The time I clock in, the time I clock out, and also midnights. You'll see in a second, and the time. So first, let's look at when I clock in. So on my May 10th shift, I clocked in at 10:53. Start at 11, but we push in off break or coming into a new shift 5 minutes before the hour and 5 minutes before the half hour. So I need to be pushing in at 10:55. I need time to get from the clock in machine to the front desk. So clock in at 10:53, and then at midnight the calendar day ends. So the system calculates, and then a new day starts. So even though I was still working, I hadn't clocked out, it was midnight. So that's an hour, 7 minutes. And by state law, an employer can either round to the nearest 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 15 minutes, or not round. Caesars rounds to the nearest 15 minutes. So an hour 7 rounds to 1 hour. So I put that in manually, that 1 hour. Now, the end of that shift, I had not clocked out, but time went by and midnight passed, and now it was the calendar day, May 11th, and I ended up clocking out at 4:32 a.m. So from midnight to 4:32, that's 4.5 hours. The 4:32 rounds to 4 hours and 30 minutes. As a decimal, 4.5 hours. So that was one shift. Started on May 10th, ended on May 11th. So when I want to calculate things for the calendar day, it's the end of one shift and the start of the next. So if I want to just look at May 11th, I ended my May 10th shift. That's that 4.5 hours I just told you about. And then another hour, 7 minutes when I came in for my May 11th shift. So the hour, 7 minutes rounds down to an hour. So on May 11th, I worked a total of 5.5 hours, according to the system. 5.5 times the state minimum wage, $12 per hour, is how you get the $66 there. So on May 11th, even though it was parts of 2 different shifts, on the calendar day, May 11th, just the wage, not talking about tips, not talking about tournament downs, just the wage, I got $66. Another thing I want to point out, let's look at May 10th. This isn't all of May 10th, because the first day was May 9th. And I worked a lot after midnight on that first shift. So this is my May 10th shift, the hour, 7 minutes, that rounds down to an hour. But my May 9th shift, 9 of the hours on my May 9th shift were after midnight, technically on the calendar day, May 10th. So I had those 9 hours, and then I had this 1 hour. So on May 10th, the calendar day, I worked 10 hours. That's 8 regular hours and daily overtime, 2 overtime hours. So 8 times 12, the state minimum wage, regular hours, plus 2 hours times $12 per hour, the state minimum wage, times 1.5, the overtime rate, gets you the 132 hours for the wage that I earned on the calendar day, May 10th. Now that's not every column. The easiest is the cash game downs. Keep track of how many downs I have and the cash tips I got for those downs. So I just know how much money I made. Keeping track of the downs for me, just because I like keeping track of stats, so I could track dollars per down. And interesting, I did throw a decimal into one of those. There was one night where the high hand kept rolling over, finally got hit, and then the game kept going. It was gonna break down like it usually does at that point, but it kept going until, actually 2 players had the same hand. So it kept going until the players got paid. So like 7 minutes after the hour, things stopped. So I counted that as 0.25 downs. They did play for like 7 minutes of those 30 minutes. So I felt like saying, no, they didn't play at all, wasn't accurate. They definitely didn't play the entire 30 minutes. I wasn't dealing an entire another down, but I got like another quarter of a down in there. So there is a 0.25 in there. Also, tournaments. So the Allen Kessler mixed game tournaments have been going on. In addition, we've been running, when I get in there, the 10 p.m. daily tournament is running. There are 4 daily tournaments each day. $100 buy-in, no limit hold'em. I'm there when the 10 p.m. is still going on. I loved at Orleans where they guarantee you a certain rate for each tournament down. So I could just say, I need to get at least this much for each of these downs, and if I get more in my check, awesome. We either had a huge field or there were a lot in tips for that tournament, or both, but the amount should never be less. I asked in Planet Hollywood what we get paid. It's not a guaranteed number, but one floor told me about 17, another floor told me at least 17, so I'm just putting in how many tournament downs I deal, and then multiplying that by 17. And if it's exactly that number, awesome. If it's more, awesome. If it's a tiny bit less, okay. If it's drastically less, then I'll say something. But it is tough to know. I think the way Orleans that guarantees a certain rate, they've just been doing it for so long, they have a very good estimate of what it's gonna be. And things do matter. I mean, field size matters. Also, how long the tournament goes matters. Say you have 100 people buy into a tournament and it lasts 6 hours. Okay, say you have the same 100 people buy into a tournament and it lasts 12 hours. Well, the casino has made the same amount of money on the 100 entries in each scenario, but when the tournament only lasts 6 hours, you don't need dealers dealing as much as when it lasts 12 hours. You have a lot more downs to pay out the longer the tournament goes. So the casino doesn't know how many entries there are going to be. The casino doesn't know how many downs dealers are going to need to deal for the tournament to be done. So there is a lot of estimating, and you can't know exactly before it happens, but Orleans has a great idea and has some estimates, and they give us a guaranteed rate. Planet Hollywood just says we'll know afterwards, but it'll probably be close to this. So there you go. Keep track of everything, so I know when paychecks make sense. Everyone at Orleans last year made sense, and wasn't the case in the rest of my life. When I was 17, that was the first time a paycheck was the wrong amount. And then it happened many, many times after that. If you're looking for it and you work your entire life, you'll probably see it a lot of times. But lately, keep track. And so far, since dealing last year, everything's been all right. For me, at the time of filming this, it is May 16th. The first check, I should get my first direct deposit May 22nd from Planet Hollywood. So I'll see what's going on in that paycheck, and I'll let you know how things look. And remember, rice is a spoon food.